I'm going to show you how I increased my attention span from just 20 minutes to 4 hours. And you can literally copy this exact protocol to maximize your attention span. In the last 4 years, I've read hundreds of books, watched 1,000 videos on productivity, tried a bunch of different tools and techniques, and I learned one important thing. I learned that 99% of things that you read on the internet simply do not work. But the 1% of things that did actually work, they flipped my life around. Following these things transformed me from someone who was quite easily bored and distracted. I remember one day in math class, I had this professor teaching something. Now I could listen to what was being said and I could see what was being written on the board, but for some reason I just could not comprehend it. I could not understand a thing. It was as if I was a deer staring at headlights, just completely zoned out. This is how bad my attention span used to be. But that is not who I am anymore. My name is Jibreal Khan and I have been a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies like Dell Technologies, AMD and Synopsys. Additionally, I was one of the top performing students in my bachelor's program and my master's program for one of the toughest disciplines, that is computer engineering. I did all of these things while lifting weights and practicing martial arts 6 days a week. And I was only able to do these things because I had fixed my attention span and finally stopped procrastinating. So I hope that this personal transformation of mine lends some credibility to what I'm about to say next. So back in the day when I had this shitty attention span, I realized that I had filled my day with activities that gave me instant pleasure. So these were things like video games, scrolling through social media, or binge watching Netflix shows. I remember I had watched multiple seasons of Game of Thrones in one sitting. Not a proud moment. Also, there was this one particular game I used to play. It was called Midtown Madness. It was like a driving game. And I had played that game for 7 hours on one particular day and I actually felt sick, physically sick. I think I threw up or something. And when I went to bed, I was literally imagining the sequences from that game. That is how hooked I was to instant pleasure. What I then came to understand was that the more I did activities that gave me this instant unearned pleasure, the more I began to find other productive things boring. Think about it. Imagine scrolling through social media for a couple of hours, you're watching the highlight of someone's life, exciting, stimulating content designed to hook your attention. Imagine trying to read a book after that binge session. Imagine trying to read a book which is just black text on a white piece of paper about some niche topic about the history of Europe or something. You're not going to find it appealing. You're going to find it rather boring because the experiences that you had prior to this activity were far more stimulating. These highly stimulating behaviors literally flood your brain with excessive dopamine, and over time you just get desensitized. And all of a sudden, things like studying math, learning how to code, they're not just that stimulating anymore. They pale in comparison to all that free pleasure that you received earlier. So this took me years to understand that there is no such thing as free pleasure. The cost of this pleasure is the future use happiness. It's the future use attention span. It's the future use motivation. You lose all these things when you surround yourself with instant pleasure. This is not even the end of the horror story. Your brain has this ability to rewire itself based on the type of, let's say, external stimulus that it is receiving. This is called neuroplasticity. For example, if there was a boy who was playing football for 100 days in a row, that guy would actually get better at football because now his brain has rewired itself. So he would kick better, he would run better, he would control the ball better. All these adaptations would take place. Now think about what exactly you're teaching your brain when you're scrolling through short form content. You go watching 60-second video after a 60-second video after a 30-second video after seeing a post on Instagram. What exactly are you teaching your brain? You are teaching your brain to shorten its attention span, to only be able to focus for just a couple of seconds at a time and then switch to the next task. Short form content is the worst form of entertainment because it destroys you in two ways. Not only is it bombarding your dopamine receptors because you're getting so much entertainment all the time, also it's depleting your focus. It's rewiring your brain to become stupider. So what I actually did was I made a list of all these activities that are part of my life that I'm addicted to, I'm hooked to. There are things like video games, binge watching Netflix shows, binge watching anime, scrolling through social media, and then I quit all these things cold turkey. I know the conventional mainstream advice is, hey, just taper it down or moderation, blah, blah, blah. Does not work for me. Moderation is much harder for me than to quit them cold turkey. Why would I moderately inject myself with these addictive drugs? In my experience, it's far easier to quit them cold turkey than to just take them in moderation and constantly use raw motivation to not overdose on these things. But one key thing to remember is that when you quit these forms of activities, you are going to realize that you have this massive void in your life, this emptiness that, what do I do with all this free time that I've magically got now? I'm no longer browsing, I'm no longer playing video games, I'm no longer binge watching Netflix. So what do I do with these extra 3-4 hours? you need to fill this void with other productive activities like hitting the gym, learning martial arts, reading, studying, meditating, journaling. You need to find activities that give you delayed gratification. So they give you pleasure, but after a while. And these are a healthy alternative to instant gratification. Like, do this right now. Literally make the list. Literally find substitute the activities that you currently do and start doing them. I know this is easier said than done. You're going to mess up for a few weeks, but eventually your body will get the message. Your brain will understand that you are no longer getting instant gratification. You are only getting delayed gratification. There is work to be done. If you're interested in watching more of these raw, low dopamine videos where you value information rather than pointless entertainment, then consider subscribing to the channel because I'm going to be posting more of such videos. So looking back at my life, there was one other thing that completely depleted my attention span. And this thing is really socially acceptable. It was the processed garbage food that I was putting in my mouth. So growing up, I always had this perspective that, oh, all what fast food, junk food pretty much does is make you gain fat. So you look kind of physically ugly and that's it. That's the damage that fast food does. And if you don't eat a lot of fast food, you become thin. And I guess that is why we should not eat fast food. But turns out that the greatest harm that fast food does is not to your exterior physique. It's to your mind. It makes you lose motivation. It makes you depressed. It makes you shorten your attention span. You literally destroy your mental health when you consume these things. There's a strong possibility that the reason why you feel lethargic and feel that you have this brain fog and almost feel like a zombie sometimes, it is because of fast food. Chips, chocolate, soda, you can literally get them from the closest grocery store. There's no barrier to entry to these gateway drugs. And these things have like tens of ingredients in them. Like McDonald's fries, literally French fries from McDonald's. They have 19 ingredients in them. I can see 2. I can see freaking potato and salt. What are the other 17 ingredients? What do you think they're putting in there? These things do not grow in nature. They don't exist in nature. These things were designed by some scientist in a lab coat trying to make these things as addictive as possible and putting a bunch of shit inside it and processing it in ways that it was never meant to. And then when you consume these things, when you put them in your body just goes chaotic. It doesn't know how to process these things, and that is why you get all these symptoms, this lethargy and constantly procrastinating things, having brain fog, confusion, not able to comprehend what is being said. Like, I remember having to read that same sentence of the book over and over again because I was like consuming chips with the other hand. So fast food literally makes you dumb and retarded. That is the simplest way to put it. As soon as I started taking my diet extremely seriously, like I quit all forms of processed garbage food, things that had multiple ingredients in them, things that came in packets. I just quit them all. What I instead started eating was like whole natural foods, single ingredient stuff, non-processed stuff, and within a week my attention span like quadrupled. Like I could start focusing on things for like 3-4 hours now because I no longer had that brain fog or was confused or didn't feel like doing things. The other addition I made was I started doing intermittent fasting. So firstly, I cleaned my diet completely, switched to whole natural food, and then I implemented intermittent fasting. So pretty much I did not eat for like 16 hours and I only consumed my meals during like an 8-hour window. And I know it sounds tough, it sounds horrible, but trust me, try this for like 4 or 5 days. The first couple of days is going to be kind of difficult because your body's adapting, but day 4, 5, 6 onwards, you're going to have like a clear mind. You're going to be so focused. Your body is not going to invest all that excessive energy in trying to digest the garbage that you have put in, and you can actually utilize this energy to focus on things and feel good and light. So give this a shot. Try this for like a week or two. Intermittent fasting plus whole natural food. You have nothing to lose, nothing to invest in. You're actually saving money by not eating processed garbage shit. So if you are someone who's ambitious and really wants to achieve a lot in his life, but procrastination, a shortened attention span, and all these bad habits are just weighing you down, then click on the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. In this call, we'll discuss where you are and what exactly your goals are and how I can help you achieve them.